Welcome to Let's Eat America. Today I'm talking about American sandwiches. Last time you learned about the famous regional sandwiches I told you about. The pastrami on rye from Katz's Delicatessen in New York City, the oyster and shrimp po' boys of the restaurants in New Orleans, and also the wonderful muffaletta from Central Grocery in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Those are regional favorite sandwiches. Today, I'm going to talk about some favorite sandwiches nationwide. Today's talk includes different breads, condiments, the stuff that you put on sandwiches, then cheeses to eat, and at the end, I'm going to give you a list of the 8 most popular sandwiches nationwide throughout the United States. Okay? Let's get started. Every great sandwich has to have bread, so let's begin there. In Japan, when we think of bread, we imagine the 6 slices of bread that you can get for 100 yen, or 88 yen if they're on sale. Those are fine. Those are perfect for toast or easy sandwiches. Also, you might be thinking about the big, fluffy white bread, shokupan, that you can get from Mitsukoshi or, one of the department stores, breads that you can cut yourself. In the U.S., the first bread that comes to mind for an American is a regular loaf of white wheat flour bread, like Wonder. When I was a kid, this is the only kind of bread that I knew existed. Wonder Bread's famous as the first brand that sold sliced bread in bags in America starting in 1930. And after that, all kinds of companies started copying that idea, and everyone called it white bread. It was cheap and easy to get at any food store. However, today we know the truth about white bread. It's bleached. It's bleached white. And that means that nutrients are removed. The flour they use is very heavily processed, and they throw some sugar into it. So, on the whole, white bread isn't very healthy. Americans still eat it, but it's not number 1 on the list of most eaten American breads. In fact, it's fallen to number 2 on this list that I found on Statista. Look at what's there at number 1. Whole wheat or multi-grain bread. And that's considered more natural and healthy. It's now the most bought bread in the United States. While we're looking at this list, let's see where other breads rank. French bread and Italian bread are more or less tied for position number 3 on America's list of favorite breads. And I think one of the reasons they're ranked so closely is that a lot of people don't know the difference between Italian and French bread. So let's see some examples. Here's a sandwich that you've already learned about, a shrimp po' boy from New Orleans. That's on French bread. Now compare that to this sandwich of meatballs, which Americans naturally call a meatball sandwich. Notice that Italian bread has holes in it. Like this is bread that you would eat with spaghetti and meatballs or spaghetti sauce. So that's one way to tell the difference between French and Italian. If it's got holes in it like that, it's Italian, not French bread. I found a picture online that really shows another difference. French bread has more soft, fluffy white flour in it, while Italian bread doesn't. French bread is softer and easy to chew, and Italian bread is crustier, harder to chew, a little bit crunchy. One last note about what Americans call French bread. What they mean is a loaf of a certain shape. It's got to be long and thin. Doesn't matter if it's wheat or not. So, back to the list from Statista. There are breads here that I never even think about. Raisin bread? That's popular? Seriously? I don't eat raisin bread. I like raisins. Like, if you give me a box of raisins, I'll eat the raisins. But putting raisins in bread, it's not my thing. I guess if you had a snack and you needed something to put some butter on or jam on, yeah, raisin bread maybe is okay. But if you're the kind of person who prefers raisin bread over these other breads, maybe we can't hang out together. Sorry. I'm surprised to see sourdough bread on this list. Sourdough bread is big and thick and yeasty, and it's got a really strong flavor. I always connect sourdough bread with San Francisco, and I checked it on the internet, and sure enough, in American history, that's where it first became popular. I don't know what to eat it with, though, so I did a little Google search for sourdough bread sandwiches. And I saw some examples that looked pretty strange to me. Avocado and tomato. Yeah, okay, sounds delicious. Smoked salmon salad sandwich. Roast pork and pickled cucumber sandwich. Egg frisbee and caramelized onion. Eggplant with beans sandwich. Okay, enough. Most of these look and sound pretty good, but when I think of sandwiches, I don't think of these as sandwiches. These are things that I've never heard of. I think it's called California cuisine. California cuisine is the name of made-up foods that are not rooted in any deep traditions or cultures. I mean, pastrami sandwich is deeply rooted in Jewish soul food. An oyster po' boy has got a lot of history, a mix of southern fried seafood and delicious French bread. And a muffaletta from New Orleans has got its roots in Sicily. But California cuisine? An avocado and tomato sandwich doesn't come from anywhere except the brain of a weirdo genius California guy in a kitchen somewhere who thinks he's an artist. And so, while technically these are creative and probably delicious, to me, they just lack soul. And I bet real Americans from the Northeast, the Midwest, and certainly from the South look pretty suspiciously at California cuisine. Next on our list of breads is cinnamon. And sure, okay, fine. Everyone likes a big Cinnabon once a year. But I don't understand how that could rank higher than rye bread. Rye bread is my all-time favorite bread, so I'm saving the best for last. I gotta say, I'm really surprised to see it so far down on the list of favorite breads in America. Now, when I was a kid, I grew up in New Jersey, out in the suburbs, in an area that was about 25 miles away from New York City. We didn't go into the city very often, but New York City's Jewish delicatessen food, take a look at it on Google, search for it. That kind of food was widely available in and around the greater New York City area when I was growing up. So for as long as I can remember, we ate a lot of Jewish rye bread. It's got a sweet, sour flavor. It's got taste, unlike regular white bread. But the taste adds to the flavor of the sandwiches that you make with it without overpowering the sandwich. The best example of a Jewish rye bread sandwich is the one that you learned about before, a pastrami on rye at Katz Deli. It's one of the simplest sandwiches on earth. Pastrami with mustard and nothing else, and a sour pickle on the side. Okay, this is my daughter taking a look at the Katz menu. Look at some of the other awesome Jewish rye bread sandwiches here. Corned beef and the Reuben. The Reuben is a special kind of corned beef sandwich with sauerkraut and Swiss cheese and Russian dressing. These sandwiches are best served hot. As cold sandwiches go at Katz Delicatessen, salami on rye is delicious, and liverwurst with onion on rye is popular too. Okay, next, let's talk about condiments. In Japan, almost every mixed sandwich you buy has got mayonnaise on it. Well, you won't find mayonnaise in many New York deli sandwiches. People joke about how New Yorkers hate mayonnaise. It's like against Jewish culture or something. But there's also a real culinary reason for this. New York Jewish deli sandwiches are really meat heavy. Salami, corned beef, pastrami, and that meat's already got a lot of fat. Now, mayonnaise is basically fat. So it's not really a good idea to put mayonnaise on your meat sandwiches because you'll have a fat attack. Instead, you eat meat with rye bread and mustard. That's the way they roll. If you order a pastrami on white bread with mayonnaise, you're just doing it wrong. Like, look how Jewish New Yorker Woody Allen kind of rolls his eyes while waspy Diane Keaton orders in a New York deli.
I'm gonna have corned beef, please.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna have a pastrami on white bread with mayonnaise and tomatoes and lettuce.
That's a great gag from the movie Annie Hall. To give you some perspective, having pastrami on white bread with mayonnaise, okay, that's like me going to Coco Ichi and ordering curry rice and then telling them, instead of white rice, I want chahan. So learn this rule about sandwiches, okay? White bread and mayonnaise are okay, fine, but not in a New York delicatessen. New York delis are going to have rye bread and mustard on it. Now, as for ketchup, no. You don't put ketchup on anything. Okay, except a hamburger. Remember the sandwiches we studied last time? Pastrami on rye with mustard. Po' boy on French bread with mayo. And a muffaletta on Italian bread didn't have mustard, mayo, and definitely no ketchup at all. It had olives. Ketchup is too strong a taste for cold sandwiches. Ketchup only works with cooked foods like hamburgers or hot French fries. Ketchup isn't really a food. It's more like a weapon. You use ketchup as a weapon to kill the taste of badly cooked stuff. You need ketchup as a weapon to eat French fries so that you can trick your brain into making your body accept French fries, which are just fat and salt with a bit of potato flavoring. So, while we're on the subject of cooked foods and mustard and ketchup and mayonnaise, what we call condiments, let's talk a minute about hot dogs. In Japan, you can get hot dogs like at Mossburger or at Dotor Coffee, but these are not really hot dogs. They're just delicate, super thin wiener sausages on a bun. A real hot dog is thick. A real hot dog is what you get from a Sabret's food cart on the sidewalk when you're walking around in New York City. Let me show you Tom's perfect hot dog. Start with a white bread bun, throw in a hot dog, add some mustard and some pickled relish, and eat it. Simple is best. This is a picture of me in New York City in February 20 years ago in the freezing cold on the sidewalk in New York City eating a hot dog from Sabret's. Now, that said, you can go to Costco in Nagoya or down in Tokoname, right? And you could get a really terrific American-style hot dog. There they've got relish and sauerkraut, onions, that sort of thing. Of course, you should put mustard on it first. Mustard is basic to hot dogs. There are some people who eat ketchup on hot dogs, but that's wrong. That's not a New York thing at all. Maybe it's a Chicago or Midwest, but it's definitely not a New York thing. And look, I know that there are Americans right now disagreeing with me on how it's weird to put ketchup on a hot dog, but I think they'll totally agree with me that you never, I mean never, put mayonnaise on a hot dog. While I was preparing for this video, I was looking around for little video clips of people dressing a hot dog, and I found this. Take a look at this guy. Okay, he's put the hot dog in the bun. That's good so far. Next, he puts mayonnaise and then ketchup on the hot dog. And the atrocity doesn't stop there. He puts in another hot dog with more mayonnaise and ketchup. This is a sin. This is a double evil hot dog. See you in hell. Now, mayonnaise on a hot dog might be delicious to you, but it's just against my rules, okay? Take another example from Japan. Imagine you're in Japan, you and your friend, you go out to eat, and you're going out to eat sushi, right? And the waiter brings the sushi, and they bring wasabi, and you like wasabi, but your friend asks the sushi guy, instead of wasabi, can I have ketchup on my sushi? That sushi chef is going to come after your ass with a samurai sword and chase you down the street. Okay, so ketchup doesn't go on sushi and mayonnaise doesn't go on hot dogs, okay? Okay, let's recap. You've learned about New York's famous deli sandwiches, New Orleans po' boys, and the muffaletta from Central Grocery. In this video, we've so far covered different kinds of breads and condiments and talked a little bit about hot dogs. So, what about sandwiches? What else goes on sandwiches? Think about it. Cheese. What cheeses do Americans like to eat on their sandwiches? Now, I'm not talking about cheese with crackers and wine. There you can have any kind of cheese you want. You can have like Colby Jack, Munster, sharp cheddar, Havarti, Brie, Gouda, blue cheese, provolone. All of these are really terrific to eat. But for sandwiches, there are basically 4 sliced cheeses that Americans really love to eat on sandwiches. Probably in this order. Number 4, pepper jack. Pepper jack cheese, also known as Monterey Jack, because it was invented in Monterey, California. Pepper jack cheese has sweet peppers, chilies, garlic, and spicy jalapenos. It melts really well, so it's great on hamburgers and on any other hot sandwich. Number 3, cheddar. Usually mild cheddar, not sharp cheddar on sandwiches. It has a simple, oily taste that's delicious, whether cold or melted in a hot sandwich. Number 2, Swiss cheese, especially the kind with holes. Swiss cheese has a bit of a nutty flavor that makes it kind of unique and delicious. Also great on a sandwich, whether it's a hot or a cold sandwich. And number 1 favorite cheese in America is probably American cheese, which comes pre-sliced. Unlike Swiss and cheddar, American cheese is very heavily processed, so much so that it's got all these chemicals in it. I mean, I look at this list and I can't pronounce some of these things. So let's just say that American cheese is yellow cheese. If you're wondering about American cheese, wonder no more. Here it is. Ha ha ha! We picked this up the last time we went to Costco. American cheese tastes good, and it's surprisingly not really that unhealthy. But most Americans don't know that a slice of this isn't even 51% cheese. The most famous name in processed cheese is Kraft. 100 years ago, Kraft took cheddar and mixed it with Colby cheese and got a new cheese, got a government patent to call it Kraft American cheese. And now, lots of companies make sliced processed cheese. All right, we're almost there. Before we get to the big list of 8 sandwiches, here's some of the info that I got on what nutritionists in America say is bad for you to eat, and what Americans know for sure is bad for you to eat. All right, if a food's up here, nutrition experts say it's healthy. If a food's over here, all Americans say it's healthy. And if the food is on this bisecting line, it means both nutritionists and Americans agree. So, where's cheese? Down here is American cheese. 40% of Americans say it's healthy, but only 20% of experts say that it is. Up here, cheddar cheese. 55% of experts, and about the same number of Americans, say it's healthy. Next, let's look at bread. White bread, as you'd expect, is pretty low on the nutrition list. More typical Americans think it's healthier than nutritionists do. Compare that to whole wheat bread. About 88% of nutritionists say it's good for you. And clearly, the average American also knows that it's healthier than plain old white bread. So, we've talked about cheeses, breads, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. Now it's time for the big list of America's 8 most favorite sandwiches. Now, it's very difficult to say which American sandwich is the best, because it's a matter of opinion, and everybody has their own opinions. But these are absolutely among the most popular that you'll ever find in America. And wouldn't you know it, number 8 doesn't even have meat or cheese on it at all. Number 8, the classic PB&J, peanut butter and jelly. Classic is what Mom gave you as a kid. The family's favorite peanut butter, which in my case would be Skippy. Woohoo! Plus grape jelly, probably Smucker's or Welch's, and put on plain white bread. Other jellies are fine. Some people like strawberry, whatever, but grape is probably the most common. And a PB&J on whole wheat or multigrain bread is delicious. Number 7, the club sandwich. Gotta be double-decker and cut into quarters, served up with French fries. What kind of meat on a club sandwich? Probably turkey or chicken, never beef. Cheese is optional. Bacon, egg, boiled egg, tomato, lettuce, mayonnaise, all on a toasted white bread. Usually the toasted white bread has got grill marks on it. Number 6, the BLT, bacon, lettuce, and tomato, with mayonnaise or with mustard, white bread or wheat bread, and make sure that bacon is crispy, crunchy, cutty. Number 5, ham sandwich. Any cheese is fine. I prefer Swiss or provolone, but if you like American or cheddar, no problem. Absolutely, you got to have lettuce and tomato on it. Any mustard's okay. And any bread is okay for a ham sandwich. Number 4, get ready. This is a roast beef sandwich. This is for the really hungry person. Roast beef sandwiches are usually on a sub roll of French or Italian bread. Any cheese is fine. Swiss, cheddar, pepper jack. Wasabi paste is popular on a roast beef sandwich. Also mustard and onion. Number 3, a turkey sandwich. Turkey slices are okay, but real turkey meat is even better. For me, Swiss cheese with the turkey sandwich. Wheat or rye bread, mustard, little bit of mayonnaise, no problem. Number 2, grilled chicken. Any cheese, any bread, even a hamburger bun is okay. Lettuce and tomato, mayonnaise, mustard, maybe a little onion in there too. And drum roll please, the number 1 most popular sandwich in America, the grilled cheese sandwich. Here it is, in the making. What kind of cheese? Really up to you. American cheese is great, cheddar is okay, Monterey Jack, any cheese that melts well. Now, many Americans might argue about which cheese makes the best grilled cheese sandwich, but most Americans probably agree that plain old white bread is the bread of choice. Keep it simple. And so, there you are, the most popular sandwiches in the U.S. In the comments below, students, be sure to tell me which one you think is the most awesome, what you'd really like to try, or ones that you would never try. And for my fellow American sandwich experts, be sure to leave your opinions, especially about the cheeses and bread combinations that you think are the most delicious.